Well, hello everyone. It's lunchtime in most households, and we're doing something different today. Sandy, who many of you may know or may not know, Sandy used to be a chef for a long, long time. She makes the best pies. And instead of talking to you about a lot of product today, Sandy's going to teach you her secret recipe for making great pie crust. Then she's going to continue with making a Dutch apple pie and maybe a cherry.
We'll see where we are on that.
We'll see how it all goes. So, Sandy, I'm just going to have you take it away, and I'll probably talk to you throughout it here.
Okay. So
okay.
Let me know if everybody can hear as I'm talking. Sometimes I'm not as loud. But we do want to announce the winner from Monday, was it? And this was the little owl that we had from Vera. And the winner is Carol Newell from Hutch. So congratulations, Carol. And we'll get that sent out to you. I think is what we're doing on those. So we'll get that out to you.
And Shelley Bartell is watching, and then Beth Schwabauer says, "Awesome! I was just talking to Mom about pie crust on Sunday." So,
well, this really isn't my secret, but I think it's Martha's. So I'm sure Martha's watching today. But I feel like it's a very forgiving pie crust. This is not the one my mother made, but I do like the combination of butter and Crisco in it, so I have switched to that. And I guess we do want to announce we do have a drawing for the Vera wallet. So what is your favorite kind of pie? You'll need to like and comment and share if, we always like that. But that will be the prize that we're giving away and probably announce on Friday.
Right.
Okay, so we're just going to get right to it. And it's very easy, and like I say, there is some chilling involved, so that's what a lot of people don't like about it. That gives me time to do some other things in between. So to start out with, it's 5 1/4 cups of flour, and I just use all-purpose, and I do bleach. So I'm not that particular on it, but you can use, and a lot of times I don't even do this part either. I just dip in because that's just how I do it. So 1, 2, there's 3.
Well, I know we've got Sandy Johnson. She's watching from Florida.
Ooh.
Elise Ramsey is on, says peach pie is my favorite. And Beth says lemon. Shelley says strawberry. And Brenda Suter says cherry. And Carol Newell says thank you. So Carol will mail that out for you this afternoon.
Okay.
So thanks for joining us.
So there's our 5 1/4 cups of flour. And then it's 1 1/2 sticks of butter. So it's a 1/2 cup, which is 1 stick, and then just a 1/2 of a stick then for your 1 1/2 sticks. It's 3/4 cup of butter. So you're going to cut that in first, and you do want this chilled. I usually keep it in the freezer and pull it out just right before I'm going to use it. And you're going to cut this into little cubes. Again, a lot of people use unsalted butter. That's fine. I've always just used salted butter because my husband doesn't want anything to do with unsalted butter. So it just keeps things easier. Sure. And so I'm just going to cube this.
So now you've just got Jamie Lamont. She's watching from Michigan. And Shauna Hopkins is on as well. And so if you're on and watching, be sure to leave us a comment, or we can't choose you as our winner.
Yeah, what kind of pie? There's so many kinds of pies out there that could be a favorite. I think cherry is mine. There's, I don't know, but any kind I'm eating is going to be my favorite at the time. Okay, so you've kind of got that cut up into cubes, and then you're just going to, I don't have a food processor, so I do this just by hand, and you're going to break this up. This doesn't have to be real fine here with your crumbles, like if you've done pastry before, you kind of get at that little pea size, because we are going to mix in shortening as well, so you're going to be doing some more mixing. So I just kind of get the butter started here and broken up a little bit to start out with, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my shortening in, and then I'll finish cutting this up. We do carry pastry cutters here
that's the one that I have right
and
there.
this is $16.99. I also like to use this pastry plastic here, and I guess it's plastic, but there's also a new one that we got in, which is a pastry cloth that a lot of people like to use. The one I'm using is $19.99, and the cloth one is $6.99. So everybody, you kind of have your favorites. And this is going to be 1 3/4 cup of shortening that goes in next. And I was chilling this as well, because you want that. So I've had it in the refrigerator all morning.
Okay, that's a little tip I did not know.
But I've been keeping it in there. I haven't made as many pies lately, so you don't want, it can go rancid. And so I've just been keeping it in the refrigerator anyway.
Okay.
That way
well,
I don't.
A couple more comments here as you're putting that in. We've got coconut meringue, which I love. Coconut cream is my very favorite. Peanut butter pie, and then another coconut cream pie, but I loved my grandma's cherry pie from Nicole Berger, and Georgia McGonigal is coconut meringue. So looks like that is a favorite for people.
Okay. And then here's our shortening, and I'm going to get this out of the cup here. And I'm just going to stick it in there for now.
We don't have quite all the fancy things that the cooking shows have. When we're considering we're doing this in front of our Vera Bradley and Myra bags.
And that's too bad we don't have a bigger oven to cook it in.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, and then again, just work this in with your pastry cutter. So I'm curious, is anybody working along making a pie crust?
Oh,
did they get their flour out and their shortening and the butter? And
are you joining us in actually
making
the crust? Nicole Berger says coconut cream pie. Melody Probst says coconut cream pie, and then Carol Cummins says apple pie for sure.
Okay.
I like apple pie too.
I do like apple. That was, I think, one of my mom's favorite. I do a Dutch apple, and that's what I'll show you today. Okay. It was always one of the big hits when I baked pies. Coconut cream, I think, probably is still, I don't know, was number one on.
At Fray's, when you did the Fray's
right.
Diner counter. What did you call that?
Well, it was Fray's Drug. Yeah.
And I can't even tell you how many pies Sandy would have baked there.
Yeah.
Lots and lots and lots.
I think I was doing 25 a week.
Oh my goodness.
So a lot of pie crust. And so that's why I like this recipe as well, because you can, it makes a lot of crusts. And it will, if you don't use it all, it will keep in the refrigerator for 5 days. Or you can put it in the freezer and it'll keep for 30 days.
So you made 5 batches of this every week?
Well, this will make, pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
This will make, this makes quite a few pie crusts.
Okay.
And then once I get this done, I have one already made.
Okay,
so
just like the magic of TV.
Yesterday.
So Mary Vibert is on. She said coconut cream pie, and Bobby Rawson says coconut. I think coconut is like
topping it, yeah.
The winner. And what's so interesting is we've done some coconut things here, and we'll have people say, "Oh, I don't care for coconut."
Yeah.
And I think, oh, they're missing out. We have a new one. Chocolate cream from Lindsay Sponsell. Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, I know my nieces and nephews liked chocolate cream. And I'm surprised nobody said lemon up there.
I kind of am surprised too.
Lemon meringue.
Another coconut meringue. Jane Fitch.
Okay, so if you can kind of see this, I'll move it forward there, Vicki. You kind of got your little pieces there that are crumbled. And I've still got some good chunks of butter in there because that's what you want. That's what helps make that crust flaky. And then we're going to be adding water. So right now we have 5 1/4 cups of flour, 1 1/2 sticks of butter, and 1 3/4 cups of shortening. And you're working that all together. And you know what? I am pretty much, the 1 cup of water is pretty much, it works out every time. You don't want to overdo the water, and I just I use a fork, just start pouring in and mixing it together bringing it together once it starts sticking. But and I usually have ice water at home. This was out of the refrigerator though back there, so it is cold.
Okay.
You just want to make sure it's cold.
Well, Joni's calling from Ohio, but we'll have to have Joni wait.
I'm going to add a little bit more here, kind of where you see it's not moistened. And you check it, and if it's starting to stick together, because I think it does vary in altitudes and things like that. There's probably some chemistry there. But as it's starting to pull together,
you can see how it's really.
You just don't want to overdo that water. So I think I'm good on this.
So, Sandy, I see in the bottom of your container, were you starting with 1 full cup of water, or did you have a little extra?
I had just a little extra in there.
Okay, because there's a little bit left.
Yeah.
Well, we have a couple of new additions. Judy Kirkland says peach.
I love peach
love
too.
That. And then Stephanie Kinsler is on, and she said pumpkin. My son-in-law is a real pumpkin fan,
Yeah.
and I'm certainly not against it. But okay, it is really changing texture there as you're working it.
And it's just, it's a soft dough. It's not sticky, but it's, once I've got it out of there, I'll get it onto the counter here on our, and you're just going to kind of get
and then
this.
we have Daylene Unruh Johnson, and I talked to Daylene this morning on the phone. She's from Texas, and she says pecan. So hi, Daylene.
Yeah,
And,
that's a good one too.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Okay, so you can kind of see it's all formed together here. I had something I was going to say, but now I've lost it.
Sorry. Pat Buckley says another coconut cream.
Okay, at this stage you can break it in half, and then I either wrap it in our wrap, and I don't think I brought that up. You can get 2 discs and just kind of shape it. And I did bring a Ziploc bag, I think, too, so you can do that. But if you can see there, I've still got the butter in there.
Right, and I think that, can you all see the butter in there that she's
The little chunks there.
You can actually see the butter.
And then you're going to want to refrigerate this. Probably, you could refrigerate it to an hour, but usually when I'm doing this, I put it in the freezer for like 15, 20 minutes because I'm usually needing to get going on pies. And so 15 minutes in the freezer, you just want it firmed up. And I'm going to have to put them both in there because I didn't bring another one.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, we've got Pam Fry on lemon meringue. You were wondering why we hadn't had a lemon.
There we go.
Erin Duncan is on with butterscotch, which my mother loved butterscotch.
That was my favorite as a kid.
Okay. And then Linda Boyd is watching. Hi, Linda. I know she's from Texas as well. So hi to your family.
Okay, we'll get some of that out of the way. Okay, so as you can see, so I have one ready to go here. And like I say, you can really just see that butter still on there. So when it's chilled, it's still going to, you've got the good butter chunks in there. And I'm going to roll out for we'll do the Dutch apple first.
Okay.
And I should have, I think, enough there on my dough. And I guess I was going to say something about the lemon meringue. When I did work there, I had a man, I think he may have even been from Buhler. It's been several years now since I've been there. But I like a tart lemon. And I'd had some people go, oh, it's just too tart, So I changed my recipe. I added more sugar. And he came in one day and ordered the lemon pie as always. And he was like, what did you do to that? You've changed it. This is not your lemon pie. And he said, you don't let anybody, change your recipe. And he said, you go back to doing that the way you did. So when it's your pie and it's what you like, you should stick to that, is what he told me. So I went back.
I can tell you've never gotten a complaint from me on your pies. And I can't remember her name because it just went off the news feed there. But we've got Carol Harvey listening from Colorado. Linda Boyd says coconut cream. Denise Bryant says coconut cream. And Shelley Bartell says, Chris says mulberry rhubarb.
I almost brought rhubarb, so I was going to do a cherry rhubarb, but my rhubarb has been in the freezer way too long. I needed to use it. Cherry rhubarb is one of my favorite. Or mixed berry too.
Sure.
A lot of times you can do, and I've done apple cranberry and just mixed, just mix anything together. Okay, so I've kind of just got that shaped out there, and a lot of times, and then I'm just going to roll out. A lot of times mine aren't the round shape, by the time I get it to my pie plate, but
at this point,
I'm not.
For me, I have crumbs going everywhere, and I'm usually crying by now.
And I do some little flouring on there and check the bottom of it, just so you can kind of keep it where it'll come up. And again, I've still got that good butter going. What was really hard was in the summertime at Fray's, you had the ovens going, and when you made that pie crust, the butter just kind of it would disappear on you. It would melt.
Well, I'm going to answer a couple of questions here. Diane Vogel says rhubarb, good. But Aaron Duncan says, will you give us amounts of ingredients again, please? And we're going to give it to you here in just a second. But it is also on our blog, our recipe blog. That's adriansboutique.com, and then click on recipes. And then it's under desserts, I think. And then Sandy's pie crust. But we'll give those. Jan Smithers says, I love lemon anything. And Pat Buckley says apricot, but only my mom's. My mom made the best apricot pies. Haven't had a good one since she passed away. So.
And you can kind of see how the edges, but guys, all you have to do is kind of put it back together there. This is why I say it's really forgiving. And I like it rolled out fairly thin there. And I'm going to use a 9-inch pie plate. I'm just going to fold that over. And I'm kind of doing this too just because I want to show you how it's easy just to put back in there. Oh, did I bring my plates up? Oh, here they are. I was thinking I did. So I've got a 9-inch pie plate, and you're just going to lay that in there about halfway and put the rest of it over. You can maneuver it around, but as you can see here, it is so easy just to put that back together. You cannot, this is just one it is very forgiving, as I say.
Wow.
And you can press that in on the bottom there and then work it towards your sides. And depending on how much you like on those edges, if you're a crust lover, how many of you eat pie and throw that crust away? I could not believe people do that. I was just shocked a lot, There's several people that don't eat crust.
Is so good.
I know.
And now I'm assuming that you used your pie crust scraps and made a sugar cinnamon.
Of course, yes.
Because that's us girls. When my mom would bake pie, we lived for that.
Yeah. We always, anything extra, do not throw away. You can, if you're still working on another pie crust, of course it can be worked back in, but definitely Thanksgiving, that's our breakfast on Thanksgiving morning is I have extra pie crust.
From the pie.
Roll out the scraps, brush it with some butter and cinnamon sugar, and we always did little dollops of jelly on it as well, like strawberry. You have little piles of
that.
That's really good.
Well, Beth says, I love a flaky crust. Linda says, it's all about a good crust. I totally agree. And Robin Stuckey says, sour cream raisin. Mm-hmm. Now, my mother likes sour cream raisin, and my husband likes sour cream raisin, but I think it's not my favorite.
I do like sour cream raisin.
But there's plenty of other ones that are really good. I know at the MCC sale in April, the sour cream raisins always go. That is so pretty already.
So I just you cut off, you just leave maybe a 1/2 inch, I think at the most, as you trim the crust, and then I fold mine under and then just go along and get that to fit even. And this is how my mom always did it. We just pinched with our fingers to get that edge. And there's, all different kinds of edges that people do. And this is what we've always done, so I've just continued it. This one, and then after you do this goes into the freezer for a good 20-30 minutes, and it'll be firmed up in there. It'll be basically frozen, because when it has butter in it, that's why it has to chill, because otherwise it just shrinks. And the other thing is, since we're doing an apple, we leave the crust just like this, what most everybody is liking. At this stage, you would use your fork, and I'm not going to go all the way through, but you would just go along and do with your fork, because you're going to do that baking, blind baking, and your crust you'll bake, and it'll come out like this. This is one that's already baked that I did yesterday.
Okay.
And this will be for a cream pie. And but you would want to chill this first, even when you're prick the crust. You do want to chill that for 20-30 minutes in the freezer. And then if you're going to bake like this, once you take it out and you're ready to bake your crust for a cream pie, I use I don't have pie weights, and what I do is I use beans, and this was from yesterday. I have it fitted with a piece of foil. I put that in there, and you're going to press it down and then push your weights. Actually, I think this was the one that I had, because it'll cover your crust then, those edges, and those weights hold that down, otherwise it lifts on you. So you're wanting those weights or some beans or rice people use. I always have done beans. And that holds your crust there. And when you're ready to put it in the oven, you'll put this on after you've chilled it. You're going to take it out, put the weights in, and then I have a 400-degree oven. It needs to be 400 degrees, and that helps the butter in there. And I cooked it 22 minutes like this before, and then I took the foil out.
Okay.
And then I let it finish baking to this stage about another 5-6 minutes.
Okay.
So you have no foil on that. It's not protecting your edges. So you want to keep a watch on it after you've lifted the foil with the beans out, because then it's not going to lift anymore. It's starting to brown up.
Sure.
So you just finish browning up about that last 5-6 minutes. But keep an eye on it. Everybody's ovens are different.
Sure. So Jamie Hollingsworth says apple or cherry. Deidre Sawatsky says chocolate peanut butter pie. Yum. Becky K. Meyer says lemon pie. Rebecca Ratzlick says chocolate cream. We're getting the chocolate is kind of coming up the ranks.
Okay.
And Cheryl Forsberg says also chocolate. So all good ideas there.
Okay, so we're chilling our pie crust now, so we're going to get ready to do the filling for the Dutch oven that I was talking about. I should have had one ready to go that was chilled, but I think I said that the other day, but I forgot.
Julie Young says cherry, and Velma Gertzen. There you go, a lemon. Velma's a lemon girl.
So I do the Dutch apple, and when I do apple, I just do I like a mix of apples. I don't like just one kind, because I use some sweet apples, some tart apples, and I've lost my knife. My gosh, I haven't gone anywhere. Oh, there it is. So I have like a Pink Lady, a Honey Crisp. You can use the Granny Smith is a more tart one. I don't feel like they have as much flavor, so I don't use them. So I use Fuji, the Honey Crisp, the Pink's Crisp apples, but I like it more tart. I don't use the sweet apples. And I've already got several of them sliced here, but this is how I do it. I cut them in half, and then you peel. I just get I can usually get under that skin pretty good where I don't lose hardly any apple there. And take the center out. And that's how I eat apples anyway. That's how I do them. So
well, and our friend Christine McDonald is watching from the St. Louis area. She says, love this. Thank you for sharing. Jessica Nelson says pecan pie is her favorite. So Christine, you need to tell us, what is your favorite pie? I'm thinking that apple is going to be my favorite pie this afternoon.
I know it. When Jonathan's are in, we always like Jonathan when we made apples at home. So I think I had 5 cut at home, and so I'm just going to do 1 here and then add to what I've sliced. And
Well, our
do
daughter-in-law, Cassie, is an excellent pie baker, but she is especially good at apple pies. She has a long process, a long recipe, but it is worth it in the end. She pre-cooks all of her apples very slow with lots of seasonings, and yeah, it's really, really good.
Okay, so now I'm just slicing them. I'm not slicing them long like this. I always just turn it and slice the other direction, about a 1/4 inch. You don't want them real small because you don't want them to get real mushy. And you know, I'm not that, if they're a little off from size from the other ones, it's not that big a deal to me. That's why I could never be on a show.
You are on a show right now, Sandy.
Other than this.
As we always tell our customers, it is very real. This is, no fancy kitchen.
Okay, I'm going to get rid of
just
that
real.
for a minute.
Sherry Penrod, thanks for watching. You're going to need to let us know what kind of pie you like to be entered to win our Vera Bradley wallet.
Okay, so after your apples are sliced, I use just a tablespoon of flour and hopefully I'm about a 1/2 cup of sugar. You don't need a lot of sugar on this one, and I mix it up before I put it in. You don't need a lot of flour because apples aren't, they don't produce that much juice, like some of your others. So again, about a tablespoon of flour and 1/2 to maybe 3/4 cup of sugar. I might just do a couple more. Depends on how tart your apples are there.
So a question is, so if you were making a peach pie, you would use more flour?
Probably a cup.
A cup of flour?
Yeah.
Wow.
No. I thought you said sugar. I was thinking sugar. No, no. When I do peach, I sometimes switch to, I might use a 1/4 cup of flour and a tablespoon of cornstarch.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I do my cherry pie as well. No, I do not use that much flour. Hopefully that's cleared up there.
Okay. Sherry Penrod says, I like apple pie. Gloriana Monchi says lemon pie. Marianne Werner says cherry pie. And I saw Reagan's grandma, and now I'm so sorry, but your name just went out of my head. But I think she said lemon meringue. And Jan Smithers says, Sandy, will you please post your crust and apple pie recipe? We know that we have the crust recipe already at adriansboutique.com, where our recipe blog lives. Just click on recipes, then I think it's under desserts, and then it's under Sandy's apple pie, or Sandy's pie crust.
I think that's what it is.
So you can definitely find it. And Kara Bontrager, hi Kara. Kara says peach.
Okay. Yeah, so the juicier your fruit, like as you're talking about, you'll need a little more thickening.
Okay.
And I kind of do, 1/4 cup of flour, and like I say, I'll do that.
Mary.
Mary.
It's Mary.
Oh.
I'm so sorry, Mary. I know that, but she says I love to be known as Reagan's grandma.
Okay, so what I've added now is, I've got 1/2 to 3/4 cup of sugar, a tablespoon of flour. I've done a 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon and a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. So you're going to mix all this together, and then I'm going to pour it into my apples before I put it in the crust.
Okay.
And kind of mix all that around there. And then we'll do this for the topping. And just kind of mix that around.
Oh, that is looking good already.
No, it's always, I won't do it here, but usually I'm eating apples, at home. Because I always like that cinnamon sugared apple there. I'm going to go ahead.
I will let you know that Sandy does her Lysol Clorox wipes 2,000 times a day. So
yes, I do.
I think we're good. Magically, a crust appeared.
Well, this should be chilled, but I forgot to do that part. Okay, so once it's chilled, I'm getting ready to put it in the oven after this. This is going to be chilled, and then I add my apples and things like that. Actually, you could go ahead and do this part and have this ready and just say putting the crumb topping on till right before you put it in the oven. So, it filled up that crust. So this was about 5, 6 apples, depends on the size. And then I had that little quarter cup butter that you had left.
Sure.
That if you weren't going to make another round of crust, many times I did. I'm going to cube up some butter on the top of it. Just to, I mean, what would more butter hurt?
Oh no, the butter never
And
hurts
even though we are going to top it with a topping here.
So W Vigil says pecan. We've had several pecan people today.
The other thing, you can use water, and I just kind of rinse out my bowl because I don't want to lose all this. And I had grabbed, if you have cider on hand, I wonder if I didn't bring that. I thought I had a little can of apple juice. So if you have apple juice or water, you can see it down there.
I don't see it down there.
I do not either. But that little bit of water I had that I didn't use on my crust, I am just going to use to rinse this out. And that'll give you a little bit of liquid to add, because I say apples really aren't that juicy. And I just pour that in. I've used all my cinnamon and things like that. And our babysitter that we were growing up with, she always used a tablespoon of vanilla when you do your apple pie. And it doesn't hurt if there's a little more either of that. I usually do more. Usually I'm not measuring, but and then just that goes all the way around like that.
Yum.
Just, you know, it's like your baked apples. You got your vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, and yummy. Okay, so if you're to that point, chill it. You know, get that in the freezer. Get that in the freezer, because like I say, you're just not wanting your crust to get warm before you want it in the oven. You want your crust to be cold when you put it in the oven.
So interesting. I have never done that.
So the topping for the crumble, this is the Dutch apple. I use cup of flour, cup of sugar, and then I'm going to cut in a stick of butter. And it's half a cup of butter, so this is pretty easy. Cup of flour, cup of sugar, and
half a cup of butter.
One stick there. And again, you're just going to kind of cube it up like
so
you did. Yeah, you're going to use a whole stick of butter. It's a half a cup.
Okay, so Rita Woods Nuss says pecan pie made from my mother's recipe, another pecan. And then Tori Regier says pumpkin, banana, and coconut.
That's first banana.
Yum, that is our first banana, Tori. So
another one.
Did you sell a lot of banana at Fray's?
Yeah, off and on. But one thing I made, it was a blueberry banana cream. And it was really good. I had a lady would always order it.
Yeah.
And it's a really a full pie. And has anybody said strawberry?
No. Of course, we're not quite at strawberry season.
Yeah.
Brenda Staggs is watching, but Brenda, in order to be able to qualify for our Vera Bradley wallet drawing, we'll need to know your favorite pie.
Okay, so I'm just cutting this up here with the butter into the sugar and flour that I have. And you're just going to kind of get it kind of like you were your pie crust there. Just work that in. You don't want your butter to melt by any means. You're going to have some crumbles there. And just going to keep working it.
Okay, and can I clarify something?
Yeah.
You're putting the pie with the apples in the freezer prior to the flour going on top.
Yeah, this top, yeah.
That won't go on yet.
No, this will go on just right before you put it in the oven.
Okay.
So this we'd have in the freezer, and I do freezer.
Okay.
You know, it just needs 15 minutes in the freezer. You know, you don't have to wait as long if you just refrigerate it. Freezer gets it really cold, and you know, then it's ready to go. So we're pretending that's in the freezer, and I'm going to pull that out. And then I've got this pretty much, I think the consistency that I want here. I've worked it in pretty good. You can still see your butter flakes, and don't want to lose any of that butter.
No.
And you can kind of use your hands too if you need to get in there, finish crumbling it up and working it a little bit better. I love a lot of this on top. That's why I think this kind of came up the amount I needed. We're taking it out of the freezer now. We're getting ready to put it into the oven. So you can put this on just before it goes into the oven. And you're just going to pile all this on all the way around. Your oven's going to be 400 degrees. And fill in all around those edges. Those apples cook down. And then I'll show you, this is ready to go into the oven. And
Yeah, and well, Kelly Day is watching. Hi, Kelly. Good to hear from you.
oh. So at this stage, I always have a tray I put it on.
Oh, smart.
And so, because it's going to boil over. Just, you might as well expect that. And
That's so awesome.
so I use these, we sell these as well, our baking sheets, and I just always use them. The other thing that I do, because I like to protect around the edge, and I don't think our deals are really going to fit over it that we sell to protect the crust.
No, probably not.
So I keep foil here, and I just cut these about into thirds. I could have cut a little bit longer, and I put this in. I've got it on my cookie sheet ready to go, and then I just take this around, and then because you want to protect that crust. It's going in at 400 degrees. You don't want that to get brown before the rest of it. And this is going to go probably 30 or 40 minutes. Then I'll take the foil off around the edges and then finish baking it. When you start seeing it bubble, you'll see, your juices will bubble up in there. It's usually 5 to 7 minutes that it bubbles, and then you take it out. And this should be browned and really yummy, and then take it out and let it set for a little bit.
Kristen Music says cherry, and Brenda Stagg says looks delicious. Pumpkin and strawberry are my favorites.
There's
and
a
Kelly
strawberry.
Day says looks great. So you're doing fabulous there, Cindy. That was awesome. We'll take a picture of that and post that here later.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going on to plan.
Yeah, we will try the
second one.
Cherry. Okay, so I just did. Somebody said they like peanut butter chocolate. So if we were doing one of our mixes, you like to do the an oat bake or something. Here's your crust ready to go. If you don't want to make a filling, have an 8-ounce package of cream cheese softened. So I would have a mixer there. I just throw these in my KitchenAid at home. Mix up your cream cheese. It's softened. Add your mix here, work all that in together, and then you're just going to add 8-ounce tub of Cool Whip or whatever whipped topping that you have.
And then, Sandy, do you put the whole whipped topping in? Okay.
Yes, and I think that's on the back of the recipe.
Oh, okay. Very
good. Thought this one looked like a really good pie that would be ready to go.
Sure.
So and then you just pour it into your pie shell. Use your
easy
spatula, and then chill it. You're ready to go. Okay, I did not have another. We're going to do the crust with a double crust. I guess is kind of what we're showing with the cherry.
Very good.
And so I've got some extra pie dough here. So we've made a Dutch apple, a single crust pie. We're going to be able to do a double crust out of this recipe. Wow. My mom would make at least five pies on Thanksgiving Day to take to the family get together. She tried to get everybody's favorite.
So a question I have is, you're one of 4 sisters. Do they all bake pies?
I think we all do. I know Terry and Nita and Christy maybe not as much as the rest of us, but she's a good cook. So again, you're just going to flour, and you can see I've still got the butter pieces on this crust, and that just helps when this would have been in the refrigerator. Okay. But, as it comes apart there, this is why this is just an easy one, especially if you're beginning pie making. It's you tear it doesn't stay together. I just remember Mom a lot of times, it just fell apart. There was always something.
My usually involves crying. I'm not a crier, but yeah.
And it's usually when you're wanting to take a pie somewhere.
Always. Let's see. Shelley Clausen is watching, and Lorene Lorenz is watching, and welcome to both of you. You need to know, what is your favorite kind of pie? We're giving away a Vera Bradley wallet this afternoon that we'll announce on Friday. And anyways, but in order to qualify, we need to know your favorite pie. You've got to comment with that. So We look forward to seeing what your favorite pie is.
Okay, so this we're going to go ahead and put in our pie plate and fold it over again. And you're just going to lift that up. Again, just get halfway in there where half will go to that other side. And fold it in. And again, cherry pies usually leak out a little bit more than others. So there's a little more, try and keep my crust a little bit better when I'm doing that. But you're going to be putting a top crust on here. But you know, it bubbles out the top and it's just yummy, so it's not that big a deal. And go ahead and trim up a little bit. We're going to put that double crust on here. And I found a cherry recipe and I've liked it. It's a little different than maybe some of you have done, but after I get my crust in, then I put a layer of brown sugar on the bottom of it, and I've just been doing this, and it's just one that I've kind of stuck to with the brown sugar. And I had it here, brought it this morning as well. And it's just a thin layer. You know, cherries are tart, and if you do this, you might be able to cut back on the sugar that's mixed in your cherries. We just like this at my house, and I've done it like this now for quite some time, and when I cooked at the store. So right there, that's the beginning of it. And then I always use frozen cherries, but I cannot find frozen cherries here in town. They always had them when I ordered off the truck for the restaurant, and I can't find them at the store anywhere. My sister has been able to find them at Hy-Vee in Lawrence, and so when we get together, I usually just have her bring me out, you know, several bags of them. And I think I used 3 bags of those. I did have some canned cherries, which, you know, when you want a cherry pie really bad, it does not hurt to use the canned. They are good as well. And so I had 3 cans that I've drained here. There's a little bit of juice still in there. I'm going to pour off a little bit. You are going to add a little bit of this back in. So as we talked, the more juice you have, the fruit, you can use a little more flour or cornstarch to it. So I'm going to stick to the about 3/4, since I've added that brown sugar to the sugar, 3/4 sugar. I am going to use, I did not bring my, oh, maybe I have a 1/3 cup on this. I had to borrow this from the store this morning. So I do have a 1/3 cup. So I'm going to do a 1/3 cup of flour, and I have found that when I add cornstarch to it, I felt like I have a little better, you know, where it is juicy, it's not dried out, but it's still a juicy pie. So about a teaspoon of cornstarch added to this. You're going to mix up, and I'm going to clean out because I don't want any cinnamon on my cherry pie. So I've got a teaspoon of cornstarch, and sometimes when I've just stuck with flour, it hasn't thickened up enough, and so I started doing the cornstarch and flour mixture. A lot of people do tapioca. I'm just not familiar with that. I've not done it. My mom didn't like it, so we never used it.
Well, our mom always does best. Well, Dolores Wilhide is on. She says peach. My granddaughter's nickname is Peachy, so
I love peach pie.
I do like peach pie. Diane Schultz is on, says cherry. And Betty Rich, hi Betty. Hope you are feeling better and are all healed up after your fall. But we need to know what kind of pie you like. Diane Bartels is on, says pecan, and Jennifer Galindo says German chocolate pie, one we haven't talked about.
No. And I do that for Sarah. That's
yes,
what I always make Sarah every
right.
Christmas and her birthday, is I do a German chocolate pie for her.
That's so good. And then
It
Erin
is.
Wells says chocolate, And I might have missed a few of you. I needed to help a lady that came in, so sorry if I didn't read your name earlier. But now I got to catch up on what.
Okay.
Just refresh for a little bit since I had to walk away a little bit.
Okay, so I was telling them this. I did this. I had a recipe, and I've just kind of stuck with it. So you've got your crust rolled out, the bottom part in here. You're ready to get your cherries. I always put a thin layer of brown sugar on it, and I've just started doing that. And you know, it's really good. It just works well in there, so I've stuck with it. And I was telling them, normally I use frozen cherries, but you just can, you know, have no luck. I don't want a sweet cherry, I want a tart cherry, and you cannot find those. Other than my sister, they are at Hy-Vee in Lawrence, so she brings them out to me. But I do have canned cherries. I had 3 cans, so I've drained them. And I'm going to add, this mixture is about 3/4 cup of sugar, a 1/3 cup of flour, and a teaspoon of cornstarch.
Okay.
I feel like that has just thickened up. You could use a pinch of salt. I mean, it never hurts sweet. I didn't think to bring that with me, so I've left it out.
Okay.
And you know, you've got salt in your pie crust with the butter I'm using. So again, you're just going to mix this around with your cherries. And a lot of people cook, you know, this mixture first before they put it in. We just, you know, that's not how I did it, so I get it all juicy in there.
Tracy Harris says another coconut cream. It'll be interesting when we go through this at the end and see. I really think coconut cream is
Has anybody done custard? Because custard's a big one. And then when I did work there, I started making something I'd never made, and it was a buttermilk pecan. And very, you know, really good. And then she would ask me to combine coconut and pecans in the buttermilk.
Yum.
So that's another good one.
Yummy.
And so this is going to go in here, and you can see it's pretty juicy there. Mm-hmm. And I might add just a little bit, like a 1/4 cup at the most, for a little extra juice. Again, I've done frozen cherries more than I have done canned. And so I'm going to add just a little bit. You don't want too much, but I don't want it to be dry. Nothing's worse than a non-juicy pie, even though you'll still eat it. And I could have put it in there and got the rest of my sugar, but I feel like I've got plenty of sugar in there. Wow. Okay, so there we go on that. And again, you're going to cut up some butter. Did I use all that, or did I have any left? Oh, I have some left. About a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons. Dot your pie with the butter.
Yeah.
And
well, Nancy Zerger says pumpkin. Another vote for pumpkin. We've had quite a few of those.
Yeah. Okay, so you've dotted that. And the other thing when you do a cherry pie is we always add the almond extract. And I just usually measure capfuls, 1 to 1.5, you know, gives you that little bit of flavoring there that always goes well with cherries. So have that on hand. Okay, so this is ready to go. And then we're going to do the top crust. And I'll kind of clean up a little bit here.
Here's a great little tip. Brenda Suter just said Meridian Grocery in Newton carries frozen cherries.
Oh, thank you very much.
So thank you, Brenda, for sharing that little.
Oh my, good to know.
Yes. And then Joni Weeks is on, and Joni says coconut cream, another vote for my favorite. So it's good to have you on, Joni.
Okay, so we're going to roll out, and I think a lot of times I clean. Moving on.
Okay.
So
well, I do want to say I'm amazed, but we have 27 people that are still with us. 28 people. So thank you for hanging in there with us. We weren't sure how long this would go, but I love the idea that Sandy took one recipe of pie dough and has made it into so many different things. It's been really interesting.
Let's make sure I don't spill that. So you've got your next little. And most of this, like in between, I would have had this in the fridge, keeping a little bit cool. Just remember that. But I still have good pieces of butter here, which it has not completely melted. I'm going to try to show that here if I can. And I'll get a little bit closer there.
There you go. Yeah, you can definitely see those chunks.
That's what makes it flaky, I mean, you get those buttery pieces in there. One thing I've always wanted to do is like croissants and things like that.
We should learn that live.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as we're kind of going through this process, you have an idea for another little cooking class that we could do on making your stuffed chicken breast.
Yes, we just did that the other night at home. It's so easy, you know. It's a great meal. It's very easy, and
yeah. So we'll try
that.
to come up with the time to get that done. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, and just show you how it's have a mix that we can use, or you don't have to do that. I'm just going to pull that piece off, see what happens here. Really forgiving, and just if it doesn't stick to my cabinet with all this other on it, that's my thing. And I said, cherry kind of gets juicy. It does. You can see I've got quite a bit in there right now. Ooh, I might need that piece back.
Uh-oh. Well, at least you still have it.
I know. I don't know if I could piece this on here for now, but we'll see what happens. I just want to get enough of that.
Well, and let's just say that when you freeze it, this is what it eliminates. Is little patches like that.
I may have to do a different. I may have to do a. It's kind of coming apart there.
Yeah.
Like it just a little bit thinner is what I would like over here on this side. Okay, we're going to scrap that one, and that's what happens when you do that. I'll put that back together, and that's what's nice when you have a big amount of pie crust made. You can just put that back together, and that'll be your cinnamon sugar one.
There you go.
Or you could probably just do a single crust, because there's plenty
Sure.
there. Okay, what I think I'm going to do is use my scraper and do this.
Oh, okay.
I should have done that earlier. We're going to have to wash this tablecloth when we're done.
What?
Before
Might
Friday.
need to vacuum too.
I did put an apron on.
That was good. And Carol Harvey is on. She said, I love watching you gals. We visit your store every time we visit Kansas from Colorado. And thank you, Carol. We appreciate that. And as we've always said, it's 100% real here. And, you know, this is something we've wanted to do for a long, long time. And, you know, with the way things are right now, good opportunity to get to try out some of these fun things here in the store. So, Tina Leeper is on and says apple. Oh, and Carol Harvey says, I'm the one who walked out with a watch.
Oh, I wondered that when you said Colorado. Yeah, I thought, I wonder if that's those girls.
Oh my! Well, they had a really good time. We all had a really good time with them when they were here the last time. And yep, Carol gave us a call and had left with a watch on, but we got it all taken care of. All is good.
My edge there, kind of sticking.
Okay.
Getting close to getting this top on. You want this a little bit bigger than
your bottom
crust.
Okay.
So I'm working on getting that. And I keep hitting my pie there with my rolling pin. Okay, we're going to try and flip this one over onto it, and then we'll just piece.
Carol says, I got it bought for my birthday, so win-win. Well, we're glad you got what you were looking for, Carol. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
There we go. Very nice.
And we're going to fold this over here. Trim up if you need to. I don't having a lot of trimming up here, but I've got a little bit of cracks there. That juice is just going to come through. What do I do with my knife? Any ideas? So I haven't left here, so it can't be far. Here it is.
Okay.
So you're just going to, so that's a little bit even there. Go around. And
you know what I love watching about this is I think that a lot of like the professional cooking shows, they look so perfect, and this doesn't, but I've been the recipient of many of your pies and they are so good and they look beautiful when you're done with it. And so yeah, even though the top crust there was a little raggedy around the edges, it just doesn't matter.
No. You might have a little hole, that juice is going to seep out there. But you know, one thing I did when it comes out of the oven and it's there's juice all over the bottom. It's kind of brown, and I just pour water on it in the bottom of my pan, coat that bottom, and get it out, and I can wipe the bottom of the pie crust.
You're talking about the cookie sheet that it's on,
yeah.
right? Not onto the pie.
No.
just
the cookie sheet.
I'm just asking the questions other people might be asking.
My apple pie was sitting on that cookie sheet. If I've really spilled all over, I can pour some water there.
Sure.
It loosens up that pie plate that might be stuck down in there.
Sure.
And it comes right off, and you can just clean up the bottom of the pie plate when it's a little cooler. Don't pick it up right away.
Right. Well, Barbara Hargraves said, I love buttermilk pie, which we just talked about. And Deb Merritt says coconut cream. So yummy, yummy, yummy.
Okay, so you're just doing this like under, and kind of pinch it together, and it'll help those juices not coming out there. And then again, go around and do the pinching there. And this will have to go into that freezer.
Yes.
Before
I don't think this will bake in our little easy bake oven we have in the back room.
Might. You know what? When I was there, I had 2 double ovens. I did have a convection oven. I baked many.
Really?
But I may have stuck to single crusts in there. But I did many pies in the little convection oven.
But I'm assuming you're gonna put this in our fridge or in our freezer and bake these when you get home. And so if you are making several pies, can you just put that in the freezer and let it freeze solid and then bake it later?
I might take it out and let it set for a while.
Tracy Harris says, are you going to auction that pie off? It looks amazing.
Maybe we could. Deal or no deal here.
How do you freeze your pie? Anita Hagman is saying, how do you freeze your pie? What's the best method?
I just stick it in the freezer. If it's going to be in there several, I might wrap it in some foil.
So you just stick it in?
I'll just stick it in just like
that?
It's going to go in like this till I'm ready to bake it, because I'll bake it within another day or so.
Okay.
But if I did needed it for a little bit longer, things happen, I can't get that done today, it might be a while, I'll wrap it in foil.
So you freeze it first, and then you wrap it in foil. Then I can wrap it,
because then you won't tear up your...
Okay.
Be a little
That's
bit
good
easier.
to know.
So once you have your top crust on, you need to make some slits in it so the steam can go. And I don't know, this is pretty much my mom's. Down the center, and then just made like 3 little slits on each side, and maybe 1 at the top. And that's kind of how I've stuck to it. And then you want to put sugar on the top of it, and I just stick my hand in and give it a good covering of sugar that goes on the top.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to do that egg wash on it and do all that. The butter's in it, it's going to brown up. And when I cooked there, I had so many vegetarian people that ate my pies, the fruit pies, that I didn't do any of that.
Okay.
They browned up fine, but if that's something that you do, you can do that as well.
Interesting.
So
that'll
go to the freezer.
Beautiful.
That one's done, and we have the Dutch apple ready to go in.
You want to put that back up, and we'll just have a little view of all of them here.
Okay.
So that is the beautiful cherry pie, and that was made out of the canned cherries. Although Sandy said she prefers frozen. Here's our beautiful Dutch apple pie. I say our. I didn't have one thing to do with it. And then she's got her single crust right over here. So in 1 hour's time, you have made the dough for 5 crusts at least.
And then I'll show you, this is what I have left.
Okay, so you've still got enough to do another double crust or a single crust?
A single crust for sure, at least 2 singles, and possibly a double, and pie crust goodies.
Yummy.
So you could probably do one double crust, 2 singles, and then your goodies.
Yummy.
It's almost like 5 pies. Oh, I bet we could do more, because here's more little scraps.
More scraps. Okay, we have another question from Anita. Do you thaw your pie prior to baking? If not, do you increase your baking time?
If it's been in the freezer for quite some time, yes, I like to let it set out just a little bit before I put it in the oven. at 400.
Like a little bit, like an hour?
15, 20, 15 minutes.
Even if it's frozen solid?
If it's frozen solid, just let it set about 15 minutes and then get it into your...
Interesting.
Yeah. Just, usually I don't have that happen. But I give it just a little set out.
Okay.
It thaws it just a little bit. You still want it, good and cold, when it goes into that oven.
Sure.
And again, all of them are going to be 400-degree oven to start out with. I also cover the edges, of the cherry pie, just like I had with foil around there. I've really never had to cover the top of this when I've baked it. The only ones I really put a piece of foil on, it would be a pecan. Or butter pecan. By German chocolate, you don't want the nuts to burn. So I start out, about the 400 on a pecan or something like that for about 15 minutes. I do put a piece of foil then over the top because those nuts can burn quickly.
They do burn. So.
And I still have a good,
awesome,
like half. This is probably half of that pie crust recipe. So you're probably going to get this again.
That was
much.
Awesome, Sandy. I am so thankful that you wanted to do this, that you were willing to do it. We've talked about it for so long.
Yeah, we have.
And ladies, if you're watching, and we still have 20 people watching.
Oh my goodness.
Which is crazy. And thank you for watching. But again, the pie crust recipe.
Do you want me to run through that real quick like?
Yeah, it's at adriansboutique.com. Then click recipes, then desserts, then Sandy's pie crust.
And I can do you a quick measurement here if you all got a pen and paper. And it's 5 1/4 cups of flour, 1 1/2 sticks of butter. Cut that in first. Then you're going to add 1 3/4 cups of shortening, and then you're going to cut all that in. Okay. And then it's 1 cup of cold water that you're going to use a fork and blend all that together and get into your discs, and wrap and chill. If you're needing to bake right away, about 15 minutes in the freezer is all that you need to chill, at least one round. If you have it divided into 2 discs, you could get 1 disc in the freezer, for 15 minutes and work with that one. Keep the other one in the refrigerator, and then by the time, if you're still making pies, it'll be ready to go.
Well, Becky says, nice job, Sandy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of you that watched. And Sandy, thank you for doing this for us. And
I wish you could all just come here.
That's right.
Or if we could get them baked, I'll bake them tonight, and then we'll have. But we got to watch the crowd.
That's right.
It can only be 10 of you,
and 6 feet apart. So, anyways, but thanks again, everyone that watched, and we'll look forward to another cooking school day with Sandy. And in the meantime, stay home, stay well. We are here for you. If you give us a call, we'll be happy to ship or bring it to your car, whatever we can do. You want to just grab the giveaway again? No, don't touch it. It's a Vera Bradley turn lock wallet that we're giving away today. And we will choose the winner and announce them on Friday. And anyways, thanks so much.
Bake a pie.
Bake a pie. Go. You've got time. Bake a pie tonight and let us know how it works out. So Joni Week says awesome. Pat Augustine says pecan pie. And so thank you to everyone that watched. We'll talk to you again soon. Signing off. Bye-bye.